I am Max, 38 years old, currently living in the vibrant city of New York. I am married and have a young daughter. Our family lives in a spacious, elegant penthouse, a gift from my wife, Olivia, who purchased it 2 years ago. She is a woman of both stunning beauty and remarkable talent, leaving everyone who meets her in awe and admiration. My daughter, Emma, just turned 4 this year. She is as lovely as an angel with sparkling round eyes and an innocent smile that can melt away any sorrow. I don't have an office job like most men. Instead, I stay at home, dedicating my time to caring for and raising Emma. Every morning, I personally brew coffee, prepare breakfast for her, and take her to preschool. For the rest of the day, I play with her, listen to her stories, and faithfully read her bedtime stories. Many people think it's a simple job, but for me, being with my daughter and watching her grow day by day is the greatest happiness of my life. 10 years ago, I was an ambitious finance employee on Wall Street. The job consumed all my time, but I loved it. The adrenaline rush when the market fluctuated thrilled me. Then I met Olivia, now my wife. She was a whirlwind, intelligent, charming, and full of ambition. When we got married, she was building her own company, a tech startup brimming with potential. I admired her, admired how she fought to turn her dreams into reality. When Emma was born, we had to make a choice. One of us needed to sacrifice our career to care for the family. I chose to step back. Not because I was weak, but because I wanted Olivia to shine. I wanted her to have her chance without worrying about who would pick up Emma or cook dinner. Quitting my job wasn't easy. Some nights when Emma was asleep and Olivia was still at the office, I sat alone in the living room listening to the bustling city outside, wondering if I was losing myself. The probing looks from friends, the questions like, "What do you do all day at home?" sometimes made me feel disheartened. But then Emma would run to me, hug me, and say, "Daddy, tell me a story." And all my doubts would vanish. I reminded myself that this was my choice, for my family, for love. Olivia's success exceeded all expectations. Her company is now a major name, and I feel proud every time I hear her mentioned in articles or at conferences. But success comes at a cost. Olivia has become increasingly busy, and our shared dinners have grown rare. She frequently travels for work, sometimes for a few days, sometimes for a week. I don't complain. I know she's carrying immense pressure. I just try to do my part, keeping our home warm so she has a place to return to. Lately, I've started noticing small changes. Olivia has grown distant, no longer making the brief calls during her breaks like she used to. When she's on business trips, she texts less, sometimes replying curtly, "Super busy, talk later." I'm not the suspicious type, but a sense of unease has been growing inside me. Once I asked her about a trip to Stamford, Connecticut, a place she's been visiting more frequently than others. "Just meetings with partners," she replied, her voice slightly hurried before quickly changing the subject. I reassured myself it was just work pressure. Olivia is always strong, but she's human too, right? Emma has started asking, "Why is Mommy gone so long, Daddy?" I don't know how to answer, so I just hug her and say, "Mommy's working to buy you toys." Emma smiles, but my heart feels heavy. In the evenings, when it's just me and Emma in the apartment, I play music to keep the mood lively, but a sense of emptiness still creeps in. I miss the days when the three of us laughed and ate dinner together, though now those moments feel like a distant luxury. One night, I checked Olivia's phone to see her travel schedule, just wanting to know when she'd be back so I could prepare a special dinner. I saw a strange message from an unsaved number. "Meet you in Stamford, 8 p.m. My heart stopped, but then I told myself it was probably a business partner, just work. I don't want to be a controlling husband or destroy the trust between us. I turned off the phone, promising myself not to overthink it. But the feeling hasn't gone away. It's like a small crack in glass, spreading wider each day. I've started noticing other details. A new perfume on Olivia's clothes, the time she's changed her phone password, or how she avoids meeting my eyes when talking about work. I try to brush it off, but my heart won't listen. I love Olivia deeply, but I can't ignore the gut feeling that something's wrong. One morning, while preparing breakfast for Emma, an idea struck me. I wanted to do something to bring Olivia closer, to remind her that we were still a family. I thought of surprising her in Stamford, a short trip, just me and Emma, bringing a special gift and a drawing Emma made for her mom. I pictured Olivia's smile when she saw us, her eyes lighting up like they used to. The thought excited me, like finding a glimmer of hope amid these uneasy days. I planned carefully. I bought a silver necklace, simple yet elegant, engraved with all three of our names: Max, Olivia, Emma. I wanted it to be a reminder of our family, of what we had built together. Emma was thrilled, painting a colorful picture of our family standing under a rainbow. "Mommy will love it, right, Daddy?" she asked, her eyes sparkling. I ruffled her hair and smiled. "Absolutely, sweetheart." I checked Olivia's travel schedule. She'd be in Stamford for 4 days, staying at the familiar hotel she often mentioned. I called to confirm, but she didn't pick up. No reply to my texts either. A flicker of worry crossed my mind, but I brushed it off. "She's probably in a meeting," I told myself. I didn't want suspicion to ruin the plan. I wanted to believe this would be the moment we reconnected. The next morning, I prepared the car, carefully packed the gift, and tucked Emma's drawing into a bag. Emma sat in the back, singing cheerfully, clutching her favorite teddy bear. "Daddy, Mommy's gonna be so surprised, right?" she asked, her voice full of excitement. I glanced at her through the rearview mirror, my heart warming. "Yeah, Mommy's gonna love it," I said, though a trace of unease began to stir inside me. I pressed the gas pedal, leaving New York behind, heading toward Stamford, unaware that this trip would change everything. On the way, I tried calling Olivia a few more times, but still no response. Her phone rang and then went silent, as if she was deliberately ignoring me. I told myself she was in an important meeting, but the heavy feeling in my chest wouldn't go away. Emma kept singing, oblivious, but I felt like I was driving into a storm I didn't want to face. When we arrived in Stamford, dusk was settling in. The hotel loomed ahead, luxurious and brightly lit. I held Emma's hand as we walked into the lobby, my heart pounding faster. The receptionist smiled and asked how she could help. "I'm here to see my wife, Olivia Carter." "She's staying here," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. The receptionist typed on her keyboard, then looked up, her eyes hesitant. "Ms. Carter is in room 512, but she has someone with her." My heart stopped. "Someone with her?" I repeated, my voice hoarse. She nodded, saying nothing more. A cold chill ran down my spine. I gripped Emma's hand tightly, forcing a smile so she wouldn't sense anything wrong. "Come on, sweetie. Let's go see Mommy." The elevator ride to the 5th floor felt endless, each second stretching like hours. I stood before room 512, holding the gift, Emma clutching her drawing, beaming with joy. I took a deep breath and knocked, unaware that this moment would shatter every illusion I had about our family. The door to room 512 opened and I froze. Olivia stood there, her hair disheveled, wearing a flimsy nightgown, her eyes wide with panic. Beside her was a man, his shirt unbuttoned, holding a glass of wine. He looked at me, then at Emma, his brows furrowing as if we were intruders. Emma, still holding her drawing, looked up. "Mommy!" Her voice was bright, but to me it sounded like glass shattering. "Max?" Olivia stammered, hastily pulling on a robe. "What? Why are you here?" Her tone wasn't apologetic, it was angry, as if I'd done something wrong. I wanted to scream, to demand why, but Emma was holding my hand, her big eyes full of confusion. I took a deep breath, forcing my voice to stay calm. "Emma and I wanted to surprise you, but it looks like I'm the one surprised." The man stepped forward, extending a hand as if to shake mine. "I'm Daniel, Olivia's business partner. You are..." He hesitated, glancing at Olivia for an explanation. I felt the blood rush to my head. "Business partner?" I repeated, my voice trembling. "I'm her husband. This is our daughter." Daniel turned to Olivia, his face paling. "Husband? Olivia, you said you were single." His voice rose, almost shouting, making Olivia step back, her hand on her forehead. I looked at her, waiting for an explanation, an apology, anything. But Olivia only exhaled sharply, her eyes flashing with disdain. "Don't make a scene, Max, showing up like this, embarrassing me in front of my partner. What do you want?" Her words cut into me like a knife. Emma's eyes began to well up and her drawing fell to the floor. I knelt down, hugging her, whispering, "It's okay, Daddy's here." But inside I felt my world collapsing. Daniel shook his head, grabbing his jacket. "I'm not getting involved in this drama. Olivia, deal with it yourself." He brushed past me, disappearing through the door. I stood up, facing Olivia. "Tell me," I said, my voice low and tense, "is this your business trip? How long have you been lying?" Olivia crossed her arms, her chin raised defiantly. "You want the truth? Fine. I'm tired of you, tired of feeling suffocated every time I see your face. You think I need this? A husband who just stays home, mopping floors and playing with our kid?" Her words hit me like a slap. That apartment, where I repainted Emma's room, where we laughed as newlyweds, she called it suffocating. I thought of the nights I waited for her, the dinners I cooked, the times I swallowed my pride so she could shine. All of it, it turns out, meant nothing to her. "Emma, wait for Daddy on the chair out there, okay?" I said, leading her to the hallway and handing her the teddy bear. I didn't want her to hear what was coming. When I returned, Olivia was sitting on the bed, her eyes cold. "Are you done, Max? Go home. I'll come back later." I shook my head, the pain turning to anger. "No, Olivia, it's over. I can't live with someone who doesn't respect me, who doesn't respect Emma." She scoffed, standing up and stepping closer. "Over? Fine. But you'll regret this. You're nothing without me, Max. Without me, you're just a failure." I left the room clutching the unopened gift. Emma sat on the chair, hugging her bear, her eyes red. "Is Mommy upset, Daddy?" she asked. I hugged her, fighting back tears. "Mommy's just tired, sweetie. Come on, let's go home." But I knew home was now just me and Emma. The days that followed were like a nightmare. Olivia came home, but not to apologize. She walked in, dragging her suitcase across the floor, looking at me like I was a stranger. Emma ran to her, but Olivia only patted her head before heading straight to the bedroom. I stood in the kitchen, washing dishes, trying to stay calm. I had made up my mind. I would file for divorce. Not because I no longer loved her, but because I couldn't let Emma grow up in a family built on lies. That night, I sat across from Olivia at the dining table. Emma was asleep. The apartment was quiet, save for the ticking of the clock. "We need to talk," I began. Olivia raised an eyebrow, sipping her wine. "Talk about what? About how you ruined my meeting in Stamford? You're so childish, Max." I clenched my fists under the table, keeping my voice steady. "Stop pretending. I know everything. I want a divorce." Olivia laughed, a sharp, cutting sound. "Divorce? How do you think you'll survive? You have nothing, Max. No job, no money, nothing. You're just a leech living off me. You think the court will give you anything? Emma, don't dream." She stood, pointing at me. "You want to play this game? Fine. I'll leave you with nothing. This apartment, the bank accounts, everything is mine. You'll be out on the street, Max, and I won't give you a cent." Each word she spoke was like salt in an open wound. I had given up my career, chosen to stay home so she could succeed, and yet she called me a leech. I thought of the years I stayed up late soothing Emma, the times I silently endured the judgmental looks from others, but I didn't argue. I just looked at her, my voice low. "Fine, Olivia. If you want a divorce, I'll do it, but you'll regret this decision." Olivia stepped closer, her breath heavy with the smell of wine. "Who do you think you are? A hero? You're just a failed house husband. I'm sick of seeing you mop floors, cook meals like some servant. I need a real man like Daniel, not a weakling like you." My heart tightened, but I didn't let her see it. I stood looking her in the eyes. "You're wrong, Olivia. I'm not weak, and you'll find out soon enough." She burst into bitter laughter. "Find out? Find out what? That you'll be left with nothing? That you've been leeching off your wife this whole time? Go ahead, Max. File for divorce. I'll sign it right away. We each keep our assets. Easy, because you have nothing. She turned away, leaving me standing there in the apartment I once called our home. I couldn't sleep that night. I sat in the living room looking at Emma's drawing, now torn at one corner. I thought of her future. Olivia might think I'm useless, but she didn't know the truth. And I would make her face it. I had never told Olivia my secret, not because I didn't trust her, but because I wanted to protect her. When I left Wall Street to stay home, I didn't abandon everything. I loved the market, loved how it worked, like a grand game I could predict. For nearly a decade, I quietly studied, invested, and built a stock portfolio. I started with a small amount of savings, but through patience and calculation, it grew beyond imagination. Now my portfolio is worth over $100 million, enough for Emma and me to live comfortably for life. I kept this secret because I didn't want Olivia to feel pressured. I knew she took pride in being the primary breadwinner, and I respected that. I just wanted to be her silent support, letting her shine. But now, when she calls me a leech, when she betrays me and Emma, I have no reason to stay silent anymore. The next morning, I contacted a lawyer, an old friend from Wall Street named Rachel. I arranged to meet her at a small cafe near her office. Rachel was someone who understood me better than anyone. I told her everything, about Stanford, about Daniel, about Olivia's humiliating words. She thinks I have nothing, I said, my voice bitter. She wants a divorce, each keeping our own assets because she believes I'm just a leech. Rachel raised an eyebrow, adjusting her glasses. What about your investment portfolio? $100 million? Olivia knows nothing about it? I nodded. I never told her. I wanted to surprise her. In my own way. Rachel smiled, a glint of mischief in her eyes. This is going to be an interesting divorce, Max. If Olivia agrees to each keeping their own assets, she's shooting herself in the foot. But we need to prepare. Do you have proof of her affair? I thought back to that moment in the hotel, Daniel's voice echoing, "You said you were single." "I have a witness," I replied. "Daniel, the guy in Stanford. I'll find a way to contact him." Rachel nodded, jotting down notes. "Good. And Emma? Do you want custody?" I didn't hesitate. "Emma is everything to me. I'll do whatever it takes to have her with me." Rachel drafted the divorce petition quickly. As I requested, it proposed that each of us keep our own assets, a clause that sounded fair but was in reality a trap for Olivia. I knew she'd agree immediately, believing I had nothing of value. Rachel also included my request for full custody of Emma based on my dedication to her and Olivia's inappropriate behavior. "The court will consider this," Rachel said. "But with evidence of the affair and your role as Emma's primary caregiver, we have the upper hand." I signed the divorce papers on a rainy afternoon, my hand trembling slightly. Not out of fear, but because I realized I was closing a chapter of my life. I had once loved Olivia, dreamed of a happy family. But she had destroyed that, and I couldn't let Emma pay the price. I sent the papers to Olivia through her lawyer, waiting for her response. As expected, she called that same evening. "Are you serious, Max?" Olivia's voice over the phone was icy, but I could hear the smugness. "Divorce? Fine. I agree to keep our assets separate. Makes it easy for both of us, but Emma? You don't stand a chance. The court will see you're just a house husband while I'm the breadwinner." I gripped the phone tightly, keeping my voice calm. "Let the court decide, Olivia." She burst into laughter. "Oh, I can't wait. You'll lose everything, Max. Get ready." She hung up, leaving me standing in the living room. Emma was playing in the corner, building a small house out of Legos. "Daddy, look at this," she called, beaming. I knelt down, hugging her, a wave of determination rising within me. I wasn't doing this for money or revenge. I was doing it for her future. Olivia might think she held all the cards, but she had no idea how prepared I was. I started gathering evidence. I contacted the hotel in Stanford, requesting hallway camera footage from that night. The receptionist, who had told me Olivia had someone with her, agreed to be a witness if needed. I also tracked down Daniel through social media, a businessman in Connecticut who seemed rattled when I messaged him. "I don't want trouble," he replied. "Olivia said she was single. I didn't know she had a husband and kid." I didn't blame Daniel. He was just a piece in Olivia's web of lies. "I just need you to confirm the truth," I messaged back. He agreed, as long as he wasn't dragged into court. With every step, I felt stronger. I was no longer the Max who quietly mopped floors waiting for Olivia to come home. I was the Max who once thrived on Wall Street, who knew how to play to win. But I didn't boast. I kept everything discreet, letting Olivia dig her own grave. The night before submitting the petition to the court, I sat in the living room opening my laptop to check my investment portfolio. The numbers stared back, cold but reassuring. $102 million, up slightly from the previous week. I thought of Olivia, her arrogance, the way she mocked me. I closed the laptop and looked out the window. New York sparkled below, as if reminding me I was never a loser. And Olivia was about to find that out. On the day of the court hearing, I stood in front of the mirror adjusting my tie. Emma was at home with my mother, safe and carefree. I wanted to keep her far from this drama. Rachel stood beside me in the waiting room, patting my shoulder. "Ready, Max? It's going to be a long day." I nodded, my heart pounding, not out of fear, but because I knew this was the moment everything would change. The courtroom was cold, smelling of old wood and paperwork. Olivia sat across from me, dressed in an expensive black suit, her hair tied up high, looking like a queen. She didn't glance at me, only whispered to her lawyer, a middle-aged man with glasses. Rachel, calm and composed, arranged her documents, her eyes sharp. The judge, an older woman, struck her gavel. "Let's begin." Olivia's lawyer spoke first, his voice smooth. "Your Honor, my client, Ms. Olivia Carter, agrees to the divorce with the condition that each party retains their own assets. Ms. Carter is the primary breadwinner, owning a technology company worth millions. Mr. Max Thompson has no income and has been financially dependent on Ms. Carter. Therefore, we request custody of their daughter, Emma Thompson, be granted to Ms. Carter, with Mr. Thompson given visitation rights." I almost laughed. They painted me as a useless freeloader, but I stayed silent. Rachel touched my arm lightly, signaling me to wait. It was her turn. She stood, her voice clear. "Your Honor, Mr. Max Thompson agrees to each party retaining their own assets as stipulated. However, we request full custody of Emma be granted to Mr. Thompson based on his role as her primary caregiver and Ms. Carter's inappropriate conduct." She emphasized the last phrase, causing Olivia to whip around, her eyes blazing. Rachel presented the evidence: the hotel's hallway camera footage from Stamford, the receptionist's testimony, and Daniel's messages confirming Olivia had concealed her marital status. Olivia's lawyer objected, but the judge ordered the evidence to be reviewed. Olivia began to lose her composure, whispering urgently to her lawyer. I sat there, watching her, feeling a mix of pain and relief. She had dug her own grave, and now she was falling in. Then Rachel delivered the final blow. "Regarding assets," she said, "Mr. Thompson does not contest Ms. Carter's property. However, Mr. Thompson has his own assets, a stock portfolio valued at $102 million. Accumulated over the past 10 years, Rachel submitted the documents. Bank statements, transaction histories, all crystal clear. The courtroom fell silent. Olivia's jaw dropped, her face paling. Her lawyer flipped through the papers, muttering, "How did we not know about this?" I looked at Olivia, and for the first time during the hearing, her eyes met mine. Gone was the disdain, replaced by shock and panic. "Max, you," she stammered, but the judge struck her gavel, demanding order. Rachel continued, her voice steady. "Mr. Thompson does not seek any of Ms. Carter's assets, but with his independent wealth and his role as Emma's primary caregiver, we believe he is the suitable parent to raise her." Olivia shot to her feet, shouting, "No! He tricked me. He hid this from me. I don't agree." Her lawyer pulled her back into her seat, but the judge frowned. "Ms. Carter, control yourself," she said. Olivia trembled, her eyes red, but I felt no pity. She had chosen this path: betrayal, insults, and now the consequences. The hearing dragged on, but the tide turned in my favor. The judge reviewed the evidence of Olivia's affair, my history of caring for Emma, and my financial independence. Finally, she delivered her ruling. Custody of Emma Thompson is granted to Mr. Max Thompson, with Ms. Carter awarded visitation rights. Assets will remain separate as agreed. Olivia collapsed into her chair, hands covering her face. I heard her sobs, but I didn't look back. My thoughts were only of Emma, of the new home I would build for her. As we left the courtroom, Rachel patted my shoulder. "You did it, Max." I nodded but didn't smile. I had won, but my heart still felt heavy. I didn't want Olivia to crumble, but she had made her choice. I stepped outside, the New York sunlight warming my face. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. Few months after the trial, I heard news about Olivia through a mutual friend. At first, I didn't want to know. I had closed that chapter, focusing on Emma and our new life. But word about her spread quickly like wildfire in New York's business circles. Olivia's company, once her pride and joy, was faltering. Partners pulled funding, clients turned away, and the press tore her apart. Millionaire entrepreneur Olivia Carter embroiled in affair scandal, one headline read. I skimmed it, feeling no satisfaction, just emptiness. Olivia had built a perfect image, a strong, independent, invincible businesswoman. But when news of her deception, lying to me, hiding our marriage from Daniel, and losing in court spread, that image shattered. Partners didn't want to work with someone deemed unethical. Clients questioned the company's transparency. One article dug deeper, revealing Olivia's lavish spending on business trips, 5-star hotels, first-class flights, expensive gifts, all charged to company funds. Shareholders were furious, demanding audits. I imagined Olivia in her office, facing cold stares and rejection emails. She had once said I'd end up with nothing, but now she was the one losing everything. The company spiraled into financial crisis, drowning in debt. One evening, I caught a glimpse of her on the nightly news. Olivia stood outside her company's building, hair disheveled, eyes shadowed, forcing a smile for reporters. "We'll get through this," she said, her voice trembling. Just months after the trial, Olivia lost not only her career but her reputation. Mutual friends said she moved out of her luxurious Manhattan apartment, selling her car and jewelry to pay debts. She now lived in a small apartment in the suburbs, far from New York's glamour. I thought of her, once arrogantly declaring me worthless, now alone. I felt neither joy nor sorrow, just regret for Emma, who would grow up without the mother I'd once hoped she'd have. One day, Emma asked, "Will Mommy come back, Daddy?" I hugged her, kissing her forehead. "Mommy loves you, but she needs time. No matter what, I'm always here." Emma nodded, but her eyes showed she understood. I vowed to ensure she never felt unloved. After the divorce was finalized, I bought a house in Brooklyn. Not too big, but spacious enough for Emma and me. It had a backyard where Emma could play and a small room I turned into a workspace. I didn't return to Wall Street, but I continued managing my $102 million portfolio. Money wasn't an issue. Time with Emma was what mattered. Every morning I took Emma to school, watching her wave, her smile bright as sunlight. I attended parent meetings, baked, often imperfect, cakes for her class, and read to her every night. Sometimes I found myself laughing more than I had in years. Emma loved drawing, and I hung her artwork all over the house. Pictures of houses, trees, and sometimes 3 figures. Me, Emma, and a faint silhouette. I didn't ask, but I knew it was Olivia. I let Emma hold on to her memories of her mother in her own way. I started living again, not as the Max of Wall Street or Olivia's Max, but as Emma's Max. I signed up for a cooking class, tried making bread, though half a loaf ended up burnt. Emma laughed until tears streamed down her face, and I laughed too. I reconnected with old friends, the ones who didn't question why I just stayed home. They saw me happy, and that was enough. Sometimes I thought of Olivia, but the pain was gone. I had forgiven, Not for her, but for myself. I didn't want to carry resentment. Emma needed a strong father, and I was determined to be that. One evening, as Emma lay on the couch, her head on my lap, she asked, "Daddy, will we be okay?" I stroked her hair. "More than okay, sweetheart. We have each other." A year after the trial, I received a text from Olivia. "Max, can we meet, please?" I stared at the screen, my heart pausing. I didn't reply right away. Part of me wanted to refuse, but another part was curious. What did she want? I agreed to meet at a small cafe near my house, where Emma and I often got cookies. Olivia arrived late, a shadow of the woman I once knew. She was thinner, her hair loosely tied, her eyes weary. She sat down, fingers twisting nervously. "Max," she began, her voice hoarse. "I'm sorry, I was wrong. It's all my fault." I looked at her, waiting. She spoke of her company's collapse, friends turning their backs, and nights spent crying alone. "I lost everything," she said, her eyes red. "But I don't want to lose you and Emma." I listened, but my heart didn't stir. I remembered her words in Stamford, in our apartment in court. Leech, useless, penniless. I remembered Emma clutching her teddy bear, waiting for her mother in the hotel hallway. Olivia wiped her tears, grabbing my hand. "Max, we can start over. I'll change. I love you, love Emma. Give me a chance." I pulled my hand back, gently but firmly. "Olivia," I said, my voice low, "I gave you everything, my career, my time, my love. You threw it away. I don't hate you, but I can't go back. Emma needs stability, and I need a life without pain." She sobbed, pleading. "I have nothing, Max. Please don't abandon me." I stood, placing money for the coffee on the table. "You'll find your own path, Olivia, but it's not with me." I walked out, not looking back. The Brooklyn sky was clear, and I felt lighter, as if I'd released a heavy burden. Autumn in Brooklyn was gentler than I'd expected. Golden leaves fell in the backyard where Emma danced, trying to catch one before it hit the ground. I sat on a wooden bench, a cooling coffee in my hand, watching her laugh. Emma's laughter was the only sound that could soothe the scars in my heart. 2 years since the trial, since I walked out of that courtroom with custody of Emma and my truth revealed. I had changed. Not because of money or victory, but because I learned to live true to myself. Looking back, I once thought happiness meant sacrificing everything for the one you love. I gave up my career, set aside my pride so Olivia could shine, so Emma could have a complete family. I don't regret those years. They taught me that love isn't about possession, but giving without calculation. But I also learned a painful lesson. Love, no matter how deep, cannot survive without respect. Olivia chose betrayal, not just of me, but of Emma and everything we built together. I never told Emma the full truth about her mother. She's still young, and I want her to hold on to the good memories of Olivia, even if they're just fragments. Sometimes Emma mentions her mom, asking if she'll come back. I hug her and say, "Mommy loves you, but she has her own path. I'll always be here forever." I don't know how Olivia is now. After our last meeting at the cafe, she vanished from our lives. There were rumors she started a small company in Boston, trying to rebuild. I didn't dig further. I wish her peace, but our paths have diverged. I want to share this, not just for Emma, but for anyone who's ever felt undervalued. Don't let anyone define you. Whether you're a stay-at-home parent, a quiet worker, or someone fighting to rise again, you have worth. Don't wait for others to see it. Believe in yourself as I learned to believe in me. And if someone doesn't see your value, walk away. You deserve people who truly cherish you. Thank you for listening, and I wish you a happy, peaceful day with your family.